Picture this. A future guest is planning their next trip, and instead of Googling, they ask ChatGPT, where should I stay for a truly memorable experience? Now, the real question is, does your hotel show up, or do you disappear from the conversation? Today, we are discussing what it takes to be discoverable in the age of AI without losing what makes hospitality special: human connection, emotion, and story. AI doesn't fall in love with your hotel just because you have more keywords. It recommends you only when it clearly understands who you are, what you stand for, and what guests will feel when they stay with you. That's why I am joined by Jon Mest, an entrepreneur whose journey spans engineering, Wall Street, data science, and sales, and now building tools that help businesses do PR smarter. He's the co-founder of Just Reach Out and ChatRank, and he's passionate about one simple truth: nobody can tell your story better than you can. And go through this conversation, you'll learn how to use AI as a helper, not a replacement, to sharpen your narrative, reach the right media and creators, and increase your visibility where travel decisions are being made today. Let's get into it.
Thank you so much for having me, Sam-Erik. I'm very excited to be here.
You moved from Wall Street banking to data science, sales, and now AI-driven PR. What thread lies there, these very different experiences together for you?
Yeah, so my journey is quite unique in that way. I studied data science and applied mathematics in university. I did my bachelor's and master's there, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I knew I wanted to move to New York City, and that was a big deal for me. And so my friend said, if you want to move to New York, go work on Wall Street. And so I kind of took a job as a technology investment banker at a firm called Thomas Weisel Partners. I like to joke that investment banking taught me how to put on a suit and write an email. You learn how to get dressed, go to work, like be a professional, and obviously a lot more than that. But it was kind of a great first experience out of undergrad, where I was used to being in university and a college student, now to being in New York City and living working on Park Avenue at a fancy building. So to me, that was kind of a wake up call. This is the real world now, and you can kind of experience what that looks like. And that led me towards more of the roles that kind of were more to my liking around technology. First developing products. Then I was at a small enough company where they said, you're pretty good at developing products. Do you want to get on the road and start selling them? And so I started traveling to clients and seeing if we could kind of sell our technology into their organizations. And that led to kind of many different hats that I've worn over my career, which also leads me to today. But I like to say that my journey was kind of intentional, but also unique in the way that gave me a very broad experience.
What was the biggest turning point that convinced you traditional PR agencies were broken and there had to be a better way?
This is something that we really instill on everybody that comes to us and says, well, why are you different? Or why is what you're offering different? It really comes down to a very simple point, that nobody can tell your story better than you can. If you own a bed and breakfast in a cute town somewhere in the south of France, you are just not going to be able to explain that to a PR agency who's going to explain that to a travel magazine. You can tell that travel magazine so much more impactfully. You can be so much more passionate about what you're building, what you're doing, and why you have your own chickens to have your eggs, and why you do the things you do. That passion and endearment comes from the business owner, whether that be a software business owner or a hotelier or whoever we might work with. And so really that's what to us we found to be broken, was that these PR agencies, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not bad. They have relationships that frankly the business owners don't have. But what they don't have is that passion, understanding of what the business truly is or what they can be. And so for us, that was kind of the missing component, and really what led to what we've kind of developed over time, which is really helping hoteliers and business owners in general kind of tell that story directly to the press.
Yeah. I mean, I worked throughout my career with different PR agencies and or marketing agencies who provide the PR services. The best ones, you have them from the beginning of a project, so they fully understands the whole feeling and the vibe and the DNA and what the owners are looking for, and then from then on work with the owner on a long-term basis. But those agencies are not very common. Mostly, as you say, they are you make a contract, and you have basically you're paying a fee, and you probably never see the people after the first visit, and that's the challenge hotels are facing. And the other side, of course, is to have their own PR agency or PR department, which in these days it's a costly exercise unless you are a multi-brand and multi-hotel company who can do that. But hotels are deeply personal, experiential businesses. So I'm really curious because AI comes up very often, and sometimes I get kind of not I wouldn't say cold water on my neck when I hear the word AI, because sometimes the way it's being used is just kind of saying that this provides solutions to all your problems. But so I would like to know from you, Jon, how can AI-powered PR tools capture the authentic better than agencies?
Yeah. So what agencies are really good at is having relationships and helping you kind of turn your story and using the relationships to get that kind of press. So that is what PR agencies are really good at. They've done this for a long time, and the best ones can do this really effectively. They can explain to a travel and leisure magazine or to a Forbes traveler, or Condé Nast traveler, why you are the best at this thing. But really, what we help businesses do is kind of give them those tools that the PR agencies have to find the most unique and kind of capable people to pitch those stories to, so they don't have to rely on the agency to do that for them. Yes, of course, like the relationship does help, and if the person picks up the phone, that is much more helpful, obviously, than necessarily maybe just cold outreach. But to the owner of the hotel or to the kind of the business you're trying to get press for, it really is so effective to be able to tell that authentic story to the direct people. So our AI is not automating this whole like very spammy process. That is not what our system does at all. Our system AI helps you find and identify the right journalists, the right podcasters, the right bloggers for what you're trying to do, so you can find the exact right person. So it's not necessarily always just going for the largest names. It could be somebody has a really great travel blog where he or she travels, all over Scandinavia, and their whole blog is about finding the best, cutest, like most perfect hotels for their, travel in that time of year or that time of week. And so the AI will find that. Our AI will find that person for you. They might only have 200 readers, but those 200 readers are exactly who you're targeting for your hotel to make sure that you are front and center for them. And that kind of targeted precision on who you're trying to reach is what our AI can help really effectively do. And then, of course, it can help you kind of craft messaging, kind of get them into the right hands. It does a lot more than that. But really, our AI is like an assistant. It's kind of your best, never gets tired assistant instead of, being that automated thing that people kind of assume AI is.
Yeah. Many hoteliers are not tech savvy. How do you see them practically applying these AI tools without getting overwhelmed?
So we try to make our user experience as simple as possible. It really is as simple as give us a 3 to 5 sentence kind of story of what you're trying to tell, that narrative you're trying to get out there about what you're trying to do. And again, we know it's going to be much longer than that, but like we try to at least give us that first kind of inkling of what you're trying to get out there. And let our AI go to work. Let it just go to find for you the best people, the best kind of relationships to kind of go out there and get started with. That is really what our AI system does best. And so it's not very technical at all. You do not need to be a software expert. Frankly, you don't need to be an expert at all. Then you kind of just need to go in, follow our prompts, and follow kind of what we tell you to do. It's a very simple process, and you'll find the right outlets. You'll use our AI to help you kind of get the right messaging to those people based on what they write about, what their audience is like, and then pitch them. And that's really as simple as that. We always like to joke that you don't need like 100 hours a week to do this, to get press for your hotel. Do you have 1 hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week to commit to this and just kind of really like lean into it? That's really what our system kind of helps you do.
Okay. So, let's put you to test a little bit here with an example. In Finland, Arctic Lapland is booming now, and there's a lot of these owner-operator boutique hotels opening up in Lapland, not far away from Santa Claus's. So, if you were advising a boutique hotel in Arctic Lapland where Santa Claus is, where would you tell them to start in leveraging AI for visibility?
Absolutely. So this is something where people kind of have to shift their minds away from the traditional way that people used to find and identify places to go or things to do online to the new world of AI. And so if this was 10 years ago and that's what the same experience was happening, and they're looking for how do I, best get people to find me, I'd have to go basically win on keywords in Google, such as like, you know, best hotels in Lapland in Finland. Like, you'd have to kind of like win on these very like succinct and like direct keywords. But now with the world of AI, there's a lot of people when they think about travel who go to the AI tools and say, I want somewhere new, exciting, not too many people have been there before, and I want a unique experience that's not a chain hotel. And we have nothing against chain hotels, but that's not a chain hotel. That's a single operator, more of a bed and breakfast type feel in a unique place. Help me find that. Now, if you're the hotel in Finland, like you wouldn't have thought to like think of bidding or kind of winning on the search term, interesting new places with unique hotels. You'd kind of like be interested in winning on the best in our area, or kind of like winning in the thing that's very specific to what you do. But AI expands horizons so much to the point where people are kind of discovering new places to go or things to do based on these AI tools. And so, yes, a good PR campaign can help you kind of get the word out there as well. But a lot of people, when they're trying to discover new places to go or places to visit, especially when it comes to travel, AI is a great, thought partner. It's a thought. Like I said, I always like to joke. It never gets tired. So it's a good thought partner where you can go back and forth with it for hours if you want to, kind of asking questions and trying to lean into where you are. So if I'm that hotel in that area, I would really lean into identifying like why I am unique and being very clear in my online presence about what that is, so the AI can find me for that reason and then kind of recommend me in that way.
So, I mean, for somebody like me, I mean, I started to use Chatty or ChatGPT about 2022. I stumbled and still I'm learning how to do prompts. So if I'm the hotel owner in Lapland, do you require me to come up with all kinds of prompts, or how do you want me to get started with this?
This tool might help you increase your public relations visibility. For more information, I have placed a link to connect with Jon Mest in the description.
Yes. So first of all, our software can help you. It actually identifies for you the most, call it, gettable prompts that you can find. So it helps you identify what those prompts that you should be ranking for, and it kind of helps get you started that way. So that's what our software does. But you don't need our software to do that. It's actually a very simple thing. It's kind of hard for people to think about this. But if you go to a ChatGPT and say, I am this hotel in this place, here's my website, and you include your website. You can ask the question, how would you recommend that I try to find new travelers to find my hotel? Like, what should they be searching? You've almost asked the AI what prompt you should ask them to to identify you. And they're actually very good at explaining, well, actually, that's a great question. Well, if I were a traveler and I wanted to, and I wanted to land on your page, I would be searching for things like this or like this. And actually will tell you what those prompts could be. And so it's almost like if you're ever confused about how to prompt an AI tool like that, ask it how to prompt them. Like almost like ask them how I should talk to you. It's almost like going up to a girl at a bar and saying, well, how would you like me to talk to you today? It's very strange, but the AI doesn't mind. It actually gives you great answers that way.
Oh, that's very good. Okay, that's very helpful, and I feel at ease already. PR has long been about relationships and trust. Do you think AI will enhance or erode that human element?
Yeah, so I really do believe that AI is a helper, it's an assistant, but it's not replacing the human element of this. So we always like to say that Just Reach Out is a AI powered tool to help you get press for your business, but it doesn't just get you press. What it does is get you in the hands of the right people that are most likely to tell your story. Then you, the person, the hotelier, the business owner, whomever, need to go to that journalist, that blogger, that podcaster, whomever, and tell your story. Explain to them what you are, what you're trying to do, and that human element is still very much there. And so, yes, AI can be a great helper. It can help assist in PR. I do not see a world anytime soon where AI is replacing the human element of public relations and getting press. Because again, if you're a journalist, a blogger, if you're trying to tell, you have an audience, you don't want to just trust like a message online that like this is something you should tell about. That there's too much spam out there. You want to meet the person, understand more about their hotel, talk to them on the phone, whatever that might be. That's still very, very, very relevant for PR today, even with the advent of AI.
Yeah, I'm reading a little bit more and more about the various companies coming up and who are providing services through AI, and the AI race feels unpredictable with OpenAI, Google, and some other platforms also. What signals do you watch to anticipate where things are really heading?
So for our brands we work with, they're thinking about the kind of various different things here. But I think in the hospitality travel space, it really is, as you know from your hotel experience, you have to pay some amount of money to acquire your customers, to acquire your travelers, whether that's paying long-term through, good word of mouth and PR, whether it's paying directly for ads, whether it's paying for partnerships, whatever that might be. You understand that you need to kind of pay something, or kind of there's a cost to acquiring new travelers or new people to your brand. And so today, like, this idea of AI search is kind of replacing, or essentially replacing the organic traffic you used to get from other sources like a Google or others. That's great. But also, what we're seeing is the inkling of ads starting to probably trickle into some of these tools. And so, if you are a really good brand, having really good, high quality kind of awareness and visibility for your brand already is so good, because then once these tools start to roll out some of these, called ad native things, whether it's sponsored posts or sponsored answers, whatever that might be. Again, we don't know yet what they're going to go after. As a brand like the kind of a hotel or travel brand, I think it'd be kind of prescient to understand what that looks like, how I might be able to get involved and stay, authentic to my message. But at the same time, like, we understand that it might cost money to acquire, and so we want to make sure that we're well suited for that when that day does come.
Yeah. What's the common misconception business owners, especially in hospitality, have about AI and PR that you'd like to correct?
I think we kind of touched on this earlier, but storytelling is still all that matters. And so the
Yeah.
AI is not going to replace that. If you have a good story to tell, you will get press. If you don't have a good story to tell, you're not going to get press. It's as simple as that. Like, you might be able to buy your way into some press. Like, that's I guess still possible these days, but it's going to be very clearly labeled sponsored advertising content, and that's going to be it. But the idea of actually getting real press for your business, for your hotel, for your travel company, whatever that might be, that requires a really good story and a narrative that explains to its particular audience why you're relevant. So when you're reaching out to journalists that talk about, travel, what does their audience care about? Are they catering to a younger crowd? Are they catering to an older crowd? Making sure your messaging and your story caters to that audience. That is really, really important, and that's not going away in the world of AI.
Yeah. So, John, looking at your journey from building companies to creating solutions, what have you learned about resilience and reinvention that hotel leaders could take to heart?
Yeah, I think sometimes, well, first of all, it's sometimes helpful to be lucky. I think I mentioned this to you before we got started, but the reason why ChatRank even exists is because we ourselves had a problem at Just Reach Out, where our organic traffic was shrinking, like, by the day, as these new AI overviews, these new kind of AI tools started rolling out for traditional search. And so we were kind of clued into this early. For whatever reason, our sector was targeted really early when Google started rolling out these AI overviews. And so first of all, we kind of lucked into the fact that, well, lucked into it. Our business was not doing so well for a couple weeks there, as we were kind of struggling to get visibility again. And then that led to us having to learn how to adapt to this very quickly, and then go into learn how to do this. And then kind of that was led to ChatRank. So my first answer is always be lucky. That's always really helpful. But two, realistically, like, the resilience is, once you do kind of find that opportunity, it really is just a struggle to figure out what makes the most sense here. So we built this tool for ourselves, but we didn't know what others would care about the most. And so we really spent a long time working with brands to understand, what do you need? What do you not need? What is relevant and what is not? Like, understanding and really talking to the customer. You kind of like have ideas and you want to just go build, build, build. But we've realized is that if you're not talking to your customers, or in travel and hospitality, if you're not talking to your travelers, you're not talking to people walking into your hotel doors and learning what they like, what they don't like. You might fill a lobby with this beautiful furniture that looks good to you, but nobody wants to sit on it because it's uncomfortable. Like, those are like things you need to kind of understand and know. And so for me, the resilience has always been about kind of taking a step back, listening to our customers and listening to what they need. And sometimes, even if it goes against what we believe to be true, hey, if enough customers are saying it, we might have to rethink what we believe, and like rethink, like, okay, well, then maybe they are right. Maybe this is what we need to be focusing on. So for us, that's been really our biggest, challenge, as things are changing so quickly in the world of AI, how to adapt and kind of stay true to our vision, but also, listen to our customers, make sure we're giving them what they need.
Oh, very good. So I have a couple of more questions. And as many of our listeners know, we love technology here at the Social Hotelier. I'm always curious to see what's going on in developments in technology, because there are certain things that we have to accept the facts that coming from a hospitality industry, it's always been like an analog, but there are so many things going on that helps us to do a better job of still servicing our customers better and hotel guests. And that's why I think about always looking for the new demand, because the travelers are also demanding new things And so I'm also looking for a way how to stay current with the latest and greatest. During the COVID, more and more hotels started with self check-in. You start to see digital concierges and keyless entries, and those are just a everyday thing. There's nothing special about them. But I'm curious to get your views on automation in hotel. Do you think this is the way of the future, or less human contact? What are your thoughts?
I really think there's going to be a bifurcated experience. So it's going to be the business traveler that wants to show up at 10 p.m. at night, check into their hotel with keyless entry, never talk to anybody, go to the room, fall asleep, wake up next morning and fly home. Like that is always going to be a component of traveling and of like hotels and hospitality. But like that is, like, I put that in its own category. That is kind of like a separate thing. So I bet automation and all the things you just described will probably are there to stay with those kinds of opportunities for hospitality. Now, really, why the travel industry has done so well in the last few years and why it's kind of leaning more towards people doing this more experiential things. People are buying fewer like things and doing more experiences. That is on purpose. They want that human connection, that human contact. I personally love walking into a hotel and talking to the front desk, getting to know who that person is. Maybe he or she is from another country. Maybe they speak a different language, learning who they are and treating them like a person. That is why I travel. It's why I stay at hotels and why I enjoy doing that. And so I think a lot more people like me, I'm a millennial, but even the Gen Z, people younger than me and Gen X above me, like they're really looking for and leaning into these experiential like things. And so, yes, I agree that some technology advancements are great. I was happened to stay at a hotel recently where they had an iPad in the room where you can kind of request more towels that way. Yeah, I don't need to call the front desk to ask for more towels. That sounds nice to be able to just put it in the iPad, hit more towels, please, and I get some more to my room. That's great. But the reality is, for most people, they want that human connection, that human contact in the front desk, in the lobby, in kind of with the concierge, with whoever it might be. And so that is really where I think travel brands could get it wrong. Is yes, during COVID they had to make adjustments, they had to change things. I understand that fully. But now that we're kind of past that, realizing that the reason why people are traveling is for that human connection. That's so important. And I think that the right brands are already realizing that. And that is going to continue kind of like leaning more into that as far as just, making those human connections inside of the hospitality brands.
Yeah. So I have just two more questions for you, Jon. One question that I like to ask all my guests, regardless from what the industry they are, besides what we talked about, what other trends do you see happening in hospitality that hoteliers should take note of now?
Yeah, I really think that I've seen recently is from like staying at various hotels and I like my wife does love likes hotels. I'm a very sometimes to a fault, but when we travel somewhere, she loves finding like a beautiful hotel. And so we were in Buenos Aires a few years ago and we found a beautiful hotel there. And I think what I loved about that was that the trend we saw was we got there and kind of to my point from before, we were not greeted by a very stale, like boring, scripted check-in experience. It was sit down here. Can I get you a glass of water or coffee? Can we like talk about things? Why are you here? What are you trying to do? It was a whole experience when I sat down and they didn't have to do this, but they know that people are coming to them. They knew we were American and they were in Argentina and they knew that we were there for an experience. And so they, instead of treating me like just another like guest walking through the door, they learned about us. They looked up who we were, what industries we worked in. They like kind of knew who we were when we walked into the front door. And that was so nice. And so for me personally, again, when I'm traveling, I'm looking for that human connection, that experience. Like that to me is why my wife and I do love to travel. It's why I think all my like the friends that I have, we love to do this because when you go into a foreign place, a new place, it can be, interesting, it can be different, it can be, challenging at times. And so having that warm connection to other real humans at a place where you're staying, like that sanctuary, that kind of that safe feeling of being at home in the hotel, that is so important. And I think that is the trend that I'm seeing, at least for the brands that I, as a call it millennial, are leaning into, are those types of experiences, not just here's your card, the bathroom's to the left, here's your room number. Like that's just not going to be where I seek out my next adventure.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy traveling also with my wife. We travel around and we were in Korea last year, in Seoul, Korea, and decided to walk around looking at one district, which is sort of that it's a commercial district, but just off that commercial district, I saw this one hotel, very large windows, and it says like M Hotel, I think it was called, M Hotel, and I didn't see any people there. but I noticed was that when you walk into the hotel lobby and to the door, they had installed these huge dinosaurus characters. I mean, they were huge. And also when you walked in, I think it was triggered that it started to roar, and with a very loud roar to you, and that was sort of their welcome. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. I'm sure there was somebody who will really appreciate this kind of experience. But then more importantly, then when I start to look at there was a desk. Who's behind the desk? And they had two robots there, and for the viewers, when then you're watching this episode, I will put the little video that I took, because I thought it was so funny that it was there, and also you probably don't believe it exists, but it actually happened. But we didn't stay there. We just take a look at it in the lobby, just get a little bit of a sensation and see how some hotels are doing, because there is so room for, as long as you have imagination, to create something unique that no one else has. Even somebody like me who's used to very traditional service are willing to take a look at something a little bit of extreme cases. So that's what I get thriving, and I also enjoy asking my guests about these things, but they have seen during their travel.
Absolutely. And I think this is that's one direction to go in as a hotel, and maybe that works for them in that certain business interest in that kind of area. But like I said, for me personally, at least, what my friends seek out is not that. It is more of the experience with other humans you can relate to in that new place you're going to.
Sure. Yeah. So lastly, Jon, if people are interested to find more about the Just Reach Out, how can they do so?
Yeah, so Just Reach Out. You can come check us out at justreachout.io. That is where you can kind of learn more about what we do, the different product offerings we have, as well as pricing. You can also sign up directly from that website if you'd like, or you can book a demo and talk to us. And that's kind of the first way to look into that AI enabled but still very human connected narrative building PR tool that you can use the software for. There's also ChatRank. That is chatrank.ai. That is all about helping your brand be more visible in AI search. And so in hospitality and travel, this is more important than ever. I like to give the example, if you're a coffee shop in New York City, if you want to be found, you don't just have to be searched for and like kind of rank for best coffee in New York City. Sure, that's great. What you need to also do is, I'm planning a weekend in New York. Build me an itinerary. When people search that in AI, you want to be front and center so that when they say, oh, it's Saturday afternoon, if you need to pick me up, go to this coffee shop in Soho. Like that, like you kind of need to rank for both, like, hey, like this is what I used to rank for, best coffee in this neighborhood. But also I need to rank for how are people going to find me? What are they going to think about? How do they interact with AI tools? So all the kind of discovery and understanding of how people are using AI to discover hospitality and brands, that is what ChatRank can help you do, and help you kind of rank for and make sure that you are staying front and center. So you are the one that ChatGPT recommends when somebody searches, I'm in Soho for the afternoon, what should I do? And so that is really important as well. Like I said, you can see us learn more at chatrank.ai. You can schedule a demo with us or sign up directly from there. And that's really kind of where we're leaning more into as far as brands, really trying to build that, brand centered for the AI future.
Jon, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining today's episode, and thanks for all the fantastic insight.
Thank you so much, Sam-Erik. This is great.